This is the Unawarded Black Podcast with your host, Jay Watts. While you're watching the video, comment, like, and subscribe.
Why would we want more Black lives don't matter at all to me. White lives matter. You've had everything. Free fucking everything. Blacks have been coddled for years. Free college. Free everything. Your test scores are higher. Everything. Free college. Free everything. And it's still not enough and never will be. Never will be.
So you're saying you're a white supremacist? That's what I'm hearing. Sorry, what's your
Black
name?
lives don't fucking matter to me.
Can I get your name, please? Nice to meet you, Karen.
Before I can go any further, because I got a lot to say about what she had to say, I'm going to play this news article. It's about what was taking place that day, and then we can go into this video and to her comments.
Time of widespread calls around the nation for police reform, several hundred people gather in Vermont's capital city to show their support for officers in the Green Mountain State. Local 22's Nick Anastasi was there too.
People from across the Green Mountain State gathered on the State House lawn this afternoon to back the blue and show their support for Vermont law enforcement. Those supporters included a Republican candidate for governor from 2018.
They're getting a bad rap. We know there's bad cops, just like there's bad firemen, bad actors, bad athletes. We know it. But the thing is, we got to make sure they get weeded out and support the ones that are doing their job.
Tensions rose as people also showed up in support of police reform and defunding. There was some pushing, shoving, and shouting by people from both groups, but both also came together to speak with each other.
This is not Portland, it's not Seattle, and it's not Chicago. This is Vermont. Even if it's Montpelier, and there's a whole bunch of people in the house behind me that don't care about them, we care about them.
Montpelier Police Chief Brian Pete was thankful for the support and understands that changes are necessary. He's hopeful an event like this will begin to change the conversation.
We're just in a time right now that it seems like they're polarized opposites. And so the hope is that we can all come together and make sure that we have these constructive dialogues and try to figure out what it is that our profession, our institution needs to do to improve its strength and its community immersion. How can we become better? And so we're just appreciative. The way I look at it is that everybody has a concern, and I'm here to listen, and we're here to do what we can to make Montpelier better, to make our policing institutions better.
Nick Anastasi, Local 22 News, Montpelier.
Hey, first, let's introduce you to Denise Simonu. She is from Vermont, and according to this video, she had lots to say. So first of all, let's get into one thing she did say. Now, let's go into a little bit of this education she was talking about, is saying that blacks have higher test scores, and these are ACT scores. This comes from the National Center for Education Statistics. So, whites are the top line, and blacks are underneath that line. So, let's quickly look at these numbers, percentiles. Let's see. As you can see in each one of these, the first one in English, the rated score for whites 77, blacks 37. Mathematics 49, blacks 11. Reading 6-1 for whites, 21 for blacks. Science 33 whites, 5% for blacks. These test scores are atrocious, and being black and being inside of a black school, you can tell that our education is seriously lacking. Okay, it is not to say it's bad. It's not that teachers aren't trying, but I think the way our curriculums are set up are not very good. Now back to Miss Denise here. She said that blacks had free college and free all this other stuff. But I just think about how hard it was to get some of this stuff we had. We didn't even have the right to vote till 1960, I think 65. It took over 100 years for us to be able to vote. Matter of fact, for a lot of years, hell, white people got free labor from blacks to work in their fields. I mean, literally free labor. White people bought blacks they considered their property. Your ancestors benefited off the backs of black slaves. So I don't see what the problem is, and to tell the truth, all they're asking for, like, I know they're trying to say defund the police, and I think the whole point of the fact is not to really say defund the police as much as it is that they need better training and different people to come out in different situations so things don't turn out in deaths of people that could have mental problems or could be high on some random drug or let's say any kind of social defect that doesn't help them to comprehend situations. So, like I said, this whole event was, it seemed like people were able to have a pretty open discussion out there. Like someone was shaking hands, and I know things like that can be tested. But in her case, she wanted to let them know that black lives don't matter to her. That's right. White lives matter. White lives matter over anything. Hey, you can be white, but nobody ever really made the argument that white lives didn't matter. The whole point of the fact is that we need you to recognize that our lives matter. Because really, if you think about it, when the police come out and shoot first, or a random a white person can just shoot first, and they get off with self-defense, then there's a problem. Not to say that if somebody's breaking into your house and you shoot them, hey, you within all means to do so. If somebody dumb enough to break in your house, then they dumb enough to face the consequences that happen. But it's just trying to just get people to understand that with Black Lives, we just want you to recognize that we are a living being. Give a second thought before you murder us. But this Karen right here is going in the ultimate Karen, talking about all the free stuff we got, and we don't get nothing free. I mean, come on. We get into certain colleges. But you know how hard it is to get in college? I mean, and acceptance rates for blacks are a whole lot lower than whites. That's how HBCUs rose up. Because at one point, they wouldn't even allow us in these schools. So, this is what racism is. Denise is what racism is. A white person that wants to come out and complain about Black Lives Matter or black people, because all we are going out there as asking is just to be treated the same way as whites. And tell the truth, how everybody should be treated the same way. But as you can see, we never are. We are always at the bottom. Look at the test scores. We're at the bottom of the test scores. our schools are at the bottom. I mean, speaking from personal experience, our schools are not up to par. It's hard to be in a black school and wonder about what college are gonna offer you degrees. And trust me, when you put in just as hard as effort as other people, and you get these rewards, it's something to celebrate. I remember a few years, it might have been last year, when the one student got all these college scholarships from because their grades were so high, and then they had the white person come out and was like, well, why do they get all these college scholarships? They just being greedy because they apply for all these colleges. They're not being greedy, trying to get what's ours. But not this, I don't know, man. I don't know where they find some of these people at. And you already know she's going to lose a job. If she got one. Okay. But it's coming. It's coming. That's what she care about. She care about letting everybody know how racist that she is. Well, let's just see. Hey, stay tuned. I'll put a note at the bottom if she loses a job or not. That has been my time for today. This is an Unawarded Black Podcast. Like, share, subscribe. And I'll see you next time. Peace.